Greetings, salutations, and welcome to SportsLook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and I can guarantee that we are going to be sharp tonight. I can say that because we're going to have John Sharp, the new head rodeo coach at Eastern. We're also going to have Kelsey Prince. She is the head coach at Cheerleading. I'll finish up on overtime, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Greyhound cross country. The men had their first meet of the season in Lawton, Oklahoma last weekend. They finished 6th. Greyhound women, they had their first meet of the season. They finished 9th in Lawton, Oklahoma. Greyhound soccer, well, they had a match. They lost 1-0, and they were supposed to play against Highlands, but that got canceled because of weather. And Greyhound volleyball playing in a tournament. Unfortunately, they went 0-4, so better luck next week to Coach Bustos and company. Well, that has been your Eastern recap, so we'll clear this out, and I'll bring in Kelsey Prince right now. Welcome back to SportsLook, and we welcome back to SportsLook Ms. Kelsey Prince, who is the head coach of Cheerleading. And Kelsey, it's always a privilege, but especially tonight, because you this summer got a pretty high ranking in a very prestigious competition.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very grateful. I got 3rd runner-up at Miss New Mexico, and I'm very proud of that, and very honored to represent Roosevelt County at the state level.
And of course, for people who may not know your story, you are a Roosevelt County girl.
Yes, absolutely. I'm a local girl. My family is from here. Their parents are from here. And my granddad was a business owner here. My dad both my parents went to Eastern and got masters. And so we love ENMU and just a good family of alums, Greyhound alums.
Talk a little bit about the competition. How did you get involved in the first place? And out of the various aspects that you could be judged on, what do you grade out highest at in a competition like that?
You know, and that's so interesting because we don't actually receive our scores after the competition. And it is subjective. You could get a different panel of judges on any given day and score differently. I got into pageantry actually when I was going to college. The Miss America organization does scholarships, and I really appreciated the talent portion, being able to dance and perform. As I got older, I'm no longer eligible in that organization, so I am now competing with Miss USA. And I think between all of the divisions, interview, evening, swim, or fitness, and on-stage question, I really couldn't tell you because it's about being well-rounded. You know, if someone scores really excellently in one, but not so much in the other, you really want to just get 10s across the board.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is interesting. I've learned something new already.
Yes,
the interview is only like 3 minutes old, and I thought for sure you'd get to see your scores.
Right, yeah. The interviews are only 3 minutes long, and it's not very long at all. To really get someone to know you and what you're about. And that's why it's very important to be clear and articulate when you're conveying your message and why you would want to represent New Mexico and why you're the right person for that title that year. So.
Well, we are obviously bringing you on this week because you're the cheerleading coach here at Eastern New Mexico University, but maybe 10 or 15 years ago, you were associated with a different sport. You were, and you still are, but back in those days, you were a really good golfer. So talk a little bit about your association with the game of golf.
Well, I love golf. I grew up playing golf. I went to state a few times with Portales High School. I grew up playing golf with my dad and around golf all the time. I got to witness, well, I guess not really witness, but I was there when you got your hole-in-one. I remember handing that scorecard over to you. That was awesome. Once in a lifetime experience.
In a lifetime, yes, exactly.
Guess you haven't gotten any more since then.
No. One is enough for a lifetime of Doc Elder.
But golf is such a fun sport. It's sort of like playing fetch with yourself, but on a more intellectual level.
So how did you get involved in cheerleading?
I grew up dancing, and dance is my background. At Eastern, we didn't have a dance program, but dance was still part of our cheer program. So we had what we call the Spirit Squad because it included dance and cheer. And so I cheered throughout my tenure at Eastern and my college career, and that was really where I learned a lot as far as the stunting and the tumbling goes, just because dance was my primary background. But on the dance team, we treated cheer just as important of a role during games as we did, the leaps and the turns and whatnot. So
Basically, as people who are familiar with sports will know, at Eastern New Mexico University, there are 3 sports that cheerleaders are present at all the time, and that's football, volleyball, and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the difference in cheering for those 3 sports?
And I will have to say, you won't see us at volleyball this year, but that is just kind of a shift that we've chosen to take this year as we really create a good foundation for the future of cheer at ENMU. The biggest difference is the surface we cheer on. Track compared to court, turf compared to court, might be a little bit harder of a fall if you land on the basketball court. Obviously, the cheers are a little bit different. My team this year, their favorite cheer is sack that quarterback. We can't be using that during basketball season.
No.
So,
It'd be cool, but kind of irrelevant. Yeah.
Right, a little bit, yeah. And of course, weather. So the uniform is kind of different. You got to be conscientious of that.
And that's interesting. See, here again, I've learned 2 things now in this short interview segment. I have learned that you do not get see your scores in the Miss New Mexico,
no.
And I have learned that not going to be cheering at volleyball, concentrating on football and basketball.
Yes.
I got a chance to be at your first game, obviously, because I was up in the press box and broadcasting, and looked like you had a pretty big squad. Are you close to the numbers that you like, or would you like a few more moving forward?
I think we've got room for growth. We've totaled out at 7 after our tryouts completed. That first game was actually part of our tryouts because it was very quick into the season, good ignition. And that's one thing I really want to see, the way they perform, the way they handle the stamina of a game. Are they going to keep their energy up? Are they going to be able to continue to be excited and smiling and work with each other? And so that was really exciting. And so we have 7, and we do have room for growth, but I'm really excited about the 7 that we have because they all are very responsible. They care so much. We had weights for the first time today, and that was amazing. And I'm hoping to get a couple more boys as season goes on, because then we can really look at developing those stunts.
And Kelsey, I'm not just saying it because I've known you pretty much your whole life, but
Yeah.
I think that's genius. I mean, you can have kids come into the gym, which has always been the case in the past,
Right.
and have them do some cheers, but you don't really get a sense of how they're going to engage with the crowd.
Right. And I will say that wasn't necessarily, that was just the way it worked out this year, and I really appreciated it because I think, too, it kind of weeded out whether they were going to be able to do it. Some of them chose not to on their own, and because it is a big commitment, and to be able to have that stamina, like I said. So it was cool, and I did enjoy it because you then can just see a little bit like an audition.
Exactly. Talk a little bit about the 7 who we're going to see this weekend cheer for Eastern as we play Angelo State. Are they all from big schools? You know, some from big schools and small
We actually
schools?
have some locals.
Okay.
Yeah, Mackenzie Sanchez, our beloved sheriff's daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have a girl, Renice Holloway, out of Melrose, and she's actually a champion shooter, like a rifle. Yeah. So she's phenomenal and really hardworking. We have a girl from Farwell, Maria Soto, and then Ariana, I believe, is from Seminole, or at least she has family down there. And so they're actually a lot of smaller schools, but that doesn't really convey their talent, because big talent, small schools, big talent, and big work ethic. And the transformation I think that we're going to see is going to be phenomenal. They're also young. We have one senior, Kimberly Ramirez, and so she's going to be a great leader for us this year. She's got great energy, and I think it's just going to be a beautiful transformation watching these girls grow into, the ultimate Greyhound cheerleader.
It's actually pertains more to the basketball season, but I'm asking you right now in case for some reason we don't get a chance to get you on
I hope we get
before.
to touch base then again.
I hope
absolutely.
we do, but in case basketball creeps up on us and we haven't had you back.
It probably will.
There are two places in the Steve Loy Family Foundation arena where cheerleaders can stand. One is on the baseline in front of the student section, usually where the cap SIGs are. Or you can stand over more where the horseshoe actually curves, where you're closer to more of the adult fans.
A lot of the alums.
Or the alums. So which would you prefer?
I really enjoyed the switch that we did last season during basketball, having them on the bigger sideline behind our VIP seats in front of those alums. A lot of families also sit over there, so being able to interact with the kids. We have more room to spread out, do our jumps, do our tumbling, and we're not limited by clocks as far as timeouts. So if we want to be cheering or doing a stunt or tumbling, we can, and we're not going to be rushing off or potentially getting ran over by 6 foot plus men and women that are out there to chase a ball.
I hadn't even stopped to think about that, but that's obviously true. I'm a fine sportscaster because it didn't even occur to me. It also occurs to me that it's easier to kind of have that balance between watching the game and interacting with the crowd from there.
Yes, absolutely, because then we're not necessarily always turning around or shifting too much, and it's easier for me as a coach to be able to see what's going on and communicate with the team as well to kind of guide them through the game day expectations. And so it is just a healthier space, I think, for everything. And we can be so much more engaging with the crowd that is going to be engaging with us as well, and get them energized and remind them why they love ENMU. And cheer on our teams and get our teams to score those points, and hopefully we'll go back to championships this year too.
There you go.
We've got
Kelsey,
great teams.
Oh yeah. We've got about 30 seconds left. So for people who come out and watch the game in person against Angelo, what's the one, if there is one term or one word that you hope fans will go away from the stadium associating with your cheerleaders, what would that term or that word be?
Vivacious, maybe. Yeah. We're gonna bring that back, the Greyhound beat. Do you remember that?
Yes, I sure do.
It's not gonna be the exact same one, but Greyhound beat, we're gonna bring that back this weekend. So everyone get your feet and your claps ready, because we're gonna make sure that stadium rattles and really intimidates the other team.
There you go. Well,
One
Kelsey,
more plug, we do have a cheer camp for kids coming up, so make sure we watch for that.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, Kelsey, I can't wait to see your team in action again against Angelo.
so
and
excited.
Congratulations once again on your great showing at state.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment. So we'll talk a little Greyhound Rodeo right now. Welcome back to SportsLook, and a privilege to bring to the set of SportsLook the new head rodeo coach at Eastern New Mexico University, John Sharp. And Coach, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Our first question with new guests is always, where are you from originally, and what was the process that got you here to Eastern?
So I was born and raised in Levelland, Texas, which is just a small town just outside of Lubbock. And I actually moved to Tatum, New Mexico my junior year, and I ended up graduating from Tatum High School. And then I went on to New Mexico Junior College in Hobbs for a year and then transferred to Texas Tech. And then in my time at Texas Tech, I was a part of the rodeo team there. I became the graduate assistant at Texas Tech. After finishing my master's degree in 2024, I decided to be the assistant rodeo coach at Howard College in Big Spring. And when I got the opportunity to apply and take over the reins as the head coach for Eastern New Mexico, I jumped at the opportunity because Eastern and Portales, it's always been a place that's been really special in my heart and just something that's always meant so much to me. So
let's talk a little bit about your association with the sport of rodeo. It may be hard to remember, but when was the first time you were on a horse?
I think the first day I was born, or the first day they got to bring me home, I think that was the first time I ever got on a horse. You know, it's ingrained in my family all the way back, you know, to my granddad and my dad, all the way up to me, and hopefully it'll continue on for generations and generations. That's kind of the lucky part we have in our sport. It's one generation shaping the next, and then that generation gets to shape the next, and it just gets bigger and better with each generation to come. So.
Well, let's talk about the events that you did when you were growing up and the event that you concentrated on in college.
I tried them all. I liked to team rope. That's my main event. I still team rope a little bit nowadays. Go to a lot of jackpot team roping, still pro rodeo quite a bit whenever I have time. I also roped calves when I was in college, being around Jared Hofstetter, the coach at Texas Tech. NFR tie-down roper, got to be around him, and I got to experience that. And I also got to be around a lot of great bulldoggers in my time at New Mexico Junior College and Texas Tech. And I just have a love and an awe for every sport in rodeo, not just the men's side, but the women's side as well. And I think that's what makes me such a great rodeo coach is I have such an appreciation and such an understanding for what it takes to be successful in not only the sport of team roping, but in every sport that's involved in not only college rodeo, but pro rodeo, junior rodeo at all levels. So
sometimes we have rodeo performers at Eastern, and they're really good, and all they've literally done is they've done rodeo. We have other kids like Chasey Marr was telling me that she played like every sport under the sun at Tula Rosette and found time to rodeo. So were you focused on rodeo, or did you play other sports?
I did a little bit of everything. I played sports. I played football, basketball. Those were my main two, other than rodeo. Just kind of, I really enjoyed rodeo, so my summer times, that's what I like to do, and I could find things during the school year to keep me busy. I also was a part of FFA and student organizations, you know, small school New Mexico. If you're a part, you're going to do it all. You know, you're going to do FFA, you're going to do public speaking, judging contests, and then you're also going to play on the basketball team, play on the football team, things like that. So I really got to enjoy it. It kind of made me broaden my horizons a little bit. It made me understand how to be comfortable talking in front of people and be comfortable being the person I am, whether it's on the basketball court or whether it's in the rodeo arena. So.
Well, I was smiling as you were talking about FFA because now I've got two granddaughters who go to Dora and both involved very heavily in FFA. So what were your competitions in FFA?
I did a little bit of everything. Okay. I did a little ag mechanics back in the day. We built some trailers and worked on some trailer brakes. I also did some public speaking contests. We really got big into horse judging and livestock judging. And then being at Tatum, New Mexico, we had a really great ag teacher named Mr. Darty. And he's passed away a few years ago, but he loved dairy judging. And I wasn't very good at livestock judging, so they always say if you're not any good at livestock judging, you're going to judge dairy cows pretty good. So I ended up being pretty good at the dairy judging, and we ended up winning state in the dairy judging and FFA. And just learning how to give reasons and learning how to talk in front of people, it's been really great skills that have helped me in my time past FFA once I got done with high school and college and now into the workforce. So.
And I tell people that I'm actually even more impressed when I find out that somebody's been a state champ in FFA, because in like football, there are 6 different classes, and in basketball, 5 different classes. There's one class in FFA. Tatum, New Mexico, you're competing against the biggest schools in the state of New Mexico.
Yeah, Dr. Baldock, the head of the ag department here, she used to be the ag teacher at Clovis, and she loved dairy judging too. But we were able to sneak it out from her that year whenever I got to be on the dairy judging team. So it's just kind of the connections you meet. You know, that's what's so great about ENMU. It's those connections that you make being an FFA kid from Tatum, New Mexico, that go on. And now I'm the head rodeo coach, and I've worked with Dr. Baldock and getting kids registered and finding the right pathways for future kids to graduate from ENMU. And that's just kind of what makes Eastern so special to me. It's that family, it's that small, tight-knit community, and we're all coming together to help these kids and each other as much as we can. So,
obviously, there's been a name associated with coaching at Eastern for a long time, Albert Flynn, and it's kind of tough taking over for a legend like that. And shout out to Grady Goodson for helping out on an interim basis, but I imagine that Coach Flynn is going out of his way to try and make you feel welcome.
Yes, Coach Flynn. I've known Coach Flynn for a long time, and he's been really helpful in my transition, kind of helping me learn the ropes, helping me kind of figure out what steps to take and how to be ready. You know, getting hired in July and having the first rodeo in September, it just feels like a whirlwind trying to get my kids eligible, trying to get money raised for my rodeo and all the things. And to have Coach Flynn there to help delegate some of the tasks and just help relieve some of the stress as a first-year head coach, it's really big. And I'm really thankful to have him around and have him where he's helpful to me and useful to our entire program and the kids on the team. So,
being hired as late as you were, you probably didn't have a chance to do a lot of recruiting like you normally would. Did you have a chance to bring in any kids, or are you essentially just inheriting what was on the squad last year?
I had a chance to bring in some kids. I had to go back. I like to build a lot of personal relationships with people. So I had a lot of relationships with some kids that I knew from Texas Tech that were ready to pursue their master's degree. So I got a couple grad school kids from Texas Tech, which is great additions, to bring kids with such experience in college rodeo and be able to mix them in with some of the younger kids we've got. I also got pretty lucky and got some local kids that are really talented. A girl out of Corona, New Mexico named Cassidy Lightfoot, a boy out of Portales, New Mexico, Cutter Perio, just kind of bit and pieced them, picked a few up here, picked a few up there, and really got to kind of get my feet wet on the recruiting side. But I look forward to next year whenever I get kind of a full runway at getting to recruit and bring in a whole group of kids that are 100% mine.
I was smiling as you said the name Lightfoot because I have a feeling, being the small town it is, I probably know her dad. So that's going to be cool going out to watch your rodeo. Speaking of which, big rodeo, not very far away.
Not very far. September 18th, September 19th, September 20th. That's about a week away from when this airs on Thursday. And 7 p.m. we'll have a performance each night. Saturday night, that's championship night. That's when we'll crown all the champions for the rodeo. And hopefully, with how our team looks this year, hopefully we're getting to crown a lot of greyhounds as the champions on Saturday night. So,
what events, and obviously you don't know until they actually open the chutes and you start having the events, but looking at the team right now, what do you think you're going to be particularly strong in?
Really on the men's side, a lot of the timed event, Cutter Perio, a great tie-down roper, won the best of the best in Gallup this year. Also won a big youth rodeo in Guthrie, Oklahoma. Coming in as a freshman, he's going to have some growing stuff that he'll get through, but I look for him to do great things. I brought in some bulldoggers from Illinois and Minnesota, and those guys will be destined to do good things as well. And then my grad school kid, he kind of represents a little bit of everything. He bulldogs, he team ropes, he ties down calves. He's actually the reserve national champion from the college finals last year, so he won second in the nation. So that's really cool, kind of have them and then pair them with some of the kids that stayed around from last year, Bodie Neese and Walker Dennis, tie-down roper and a team roper. We're just going to be really strong on that end of the arena on the men's side. And then on the women's side, it's pretty focused. There's only about 4 events for the women, but I think our girls are going to be really tough. To have Shacey's younger sister, Shaden. She's going to be tough in the breakaway and the barrel racing, and then the grad school student come in and the goat tie-in and the breakaway, and then we've got some great barrel racers on the team. So I just look forward to getting them out and letting them compete, letting them spread their wings. It's really an interesting competition because you just kind of have to be there, and I'm more their cheerleader than they are anything else. There's only so much coaching I can do. I'm more there just to support them and help them and let them grow in our program here at Eastern.
So one more time, we'll just quickly say next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 7 o'clock.
That's right, next week.
Well, Coach, and real quick, I got about 15 seconds here. I want to put a plug in. I actually got a chance to meet the young man from Illinois and Minnesota. They volunteered their time to help with move-in at Eastern, and it says a lot about your kids that even though they're making the adjustment at college, they were willing to give their time to help other kids.
Absolutely. That was one big thing. I don't want this program to just be my kids. I want this to be Portales' program. I want this to be Southeastern New Mexico's program. I want people to see these kids and know these kids and watch these kids go to work, get to know them personally, and that makes it easier to cheer them on and be excited for them whenever they go on to do the things that whatever they do, whether that's in the arena or whether that's in a career.
Well, Coach, congratulations on getting the position, and best of luck at the College Days Rodeo.
Thank you, sir.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview segment of Sports Look. So what we'll do is we'll clear this set, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. Did you watch the Monday Night Football game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears? Well, at the end of the third quarter, J.J. McCarthy, who was a national champ at the University of Michigan, threw a pick six. The Vikings were down 11, and at that point in time, they had a 6% chance of winning that football game. But J.J. McCarthy was a national champ in Michigan, showed why, threw 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and the Minnesota Vikings did win. They're now 1-0 on the season and 1-0 in their division. Unfortunately for them, so are the Packers, and with Micah Parsons, I think the Packers are maybe just a little bit better than the Vikings. Well, that will wrap up an overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sports Look. I'd like to thank my guests, Kelsey Prince and John Sharp. Once again this week, I had Ms. Jasmine doing a great job of running the crew for me. So for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.